Patreon Q&A number 111. I want to thank all 128 of my amazing patrons. Guys, thank you so much for continuing to support me the way that you have been. It means the world to me. And to everyone else listening, there's going to be spoilers for all of the series that I'm going to be talking about, so tread carefully. Little Ferrari asks, if you absolutely had to stop watching/reading one of the big three series that you make content for, One Punch Man, My Hero, and One Piece, which one would it be? And I hope you have a wonderful Halloween. Hey, thank you, Little Ferrari. I hope everyone else out there watching has a great one as well. So before I even answer this question, which is a very problematic and controversial one, of course, let me just say that I like all of these series pretty much equally. Some I've grown up with, like One Piece, and I've been following them longer than others. But I kind of have the same kind of affinity for all of them, so I'm not going to say like I dislike this one series or I like this series less than the other, or one series is better than the other. I'm not saying anything like that. But I do have to choose in this instance, and it's going to be My Hero, unfortunately. Like, I would rather see the ending and how One Punch Man plays out, and One Piece, of course, rather than My Hero. My Hero is a great story, but I more or less see where it's going, or at least what I think. I mean, maybe it changes and it goes in a complete opposite direction. But like having the choice between, writing out My Hero or something like One Piece, there's no way I cannot pick One Piece. Like, even if I was only able to pick one, and like I would discard One Punch Man as well, and I would pick One Piece to be the ultimate winner here. Like, I love One Piece so much, and the story is just so ingrained in me at this point. Since, like I said, I've grown up with this series. It's been a part of me for most of my life. It's just that One Piece, I have to see it until the end. And especially since it's like over 22 years long in the making at this point. And by the time it's over, it's probably going to be like around 13 to 1500 chapters or something. So it's like, come on. Now, One Punch Man, on the other hand, we more or less know where that's headed to, but I also have to see how that turns out as well. I'd rather see Saitama's ultimate arc rather than Izuku's arc. But keep in mind what I said in the beginning, I'm not saying one series is better than the other. It's just which one I'd rather see play out if I absolutely had to choose. Unfortunately, this is going to be a war in the comments section, which is never my intention, but it's just the way that the community is, unfortunately. Azzy asks, if Garo was somehow brought to the organization and made into a 100% cyborg, including the limiter removal, how strong would he be? Would he surpass Awakened Garo? Too difficult to say right now, and I'm not exactly sure what you mean with the limiter removal. Do you mean like what possibly led to Garo becoming Awakened Garo? Like when he had the encounter with Darkshine catching his fist, his limiter was about to break. We assumed that, when he became Awakened Garo going against Golden S, that was his limiter removing. Maybe the manga will probably expand upon that. Or do you mean like the Neo Hero suit's limiter removing? Either way, if he did have the limiter removal, if that is confirmed to be the case with Awakened Garo plus the cyborg augmentation, then absolutely he would be stronger. But if you're talking about the Neo Hero suit on top of the cyborg modification, like I said, difficult to say because we don't really fully understand how strong the cyborg modification is yet, because we don't know what percentage Genos is, and I'm sure we will eventually, but the highest that we've seen so far is Eramin and Redestro, and we haven't seen them in battle yet, and they're 94 and 95. So once we see them tussle with maybe Metal Bat, like if they cleanly destroy Metal Bat, then we can assume that they're at least high dragons or something like that. But then also, like I said, we need to see the percentage of Genos and where he is, because he's, just barely able to solo a dragon at this point. So once we get more of that information, then we'll get to see how they stack up with somebody like Awakened Garo, I suppose. Beowolf asks, do you think that the private military company is around to give E-Iron an eventual prosthetic limb, or to give him one of the power suits? Probably not. I don't think that E-Iron is going to get a robotic limb. At least it doesn't seem like he wants one. I mean, it is possible that maybe the Hero Association gives him one and he begrudgingly accepts, like they force him to get it. I think that would be interesting. But also it's possible that the organization gives him one. Like maybe Drive Knight hooks him up with a prosthetic limb only for it to like control him and take him over the way that it currently is with the Neo Heroes and stuff like that. But I also think that the prosthetic limb dudes that they were talking about is probably the organization, and I think that's why the private military group is around, because also they have the organization suits on, or at least it's heavily implied that they do have those suits, you know, especially since G5 wanted them to live so that they can collect more data. So yeah, this is all ultimately coming to the organization and the Neo Hero stuff, and also just them being around adds more just, you know, little ancillary dudes to the mix, I suppose. And as for your second question, Suiko Drunken Fist versus Suiryu after getting beat by Goketsu but before getting beat by Bakuzan. I mean, considering that like Suiko was only really A-class level, I assume that even a beatdown Suiryu like that would still be able to take her probably. I mean, maybe we'll see something different in the webcomic because they're gonna meet up soon, but I'm thinking that even at that point, Suiryu could probably take her. JC asks, who wins between Silverfang and Golden S? Difficult to say. Like I'm always saying with Golden S, we need to wait for him to be in the manga, in my opinion, to get a true grasp of his power, because the only real opponent that he has is a super injured Tatsumaki and Garo at the peak of his power. And Garo at the peak of his power was like pretty much handling him. I mean, we didn't really get to see the fight between them because it, you know, it just goes into the fast motion stuff. So, but the fact that Golden S pushed peak Garo into becoming Awakened Garo says something for sure. And also the exposition given to him by the S-Class heroes. So it's like, is Silverfang with the abandonment, you know, going full out, is he as strong as peak Garo? No, he's not, because he couldn't vaporize Black S the way that peak Garo was. Or at least it was implied that he wasn't vaporizing Black S. So I'm going to assume that Golden S probably could take Bang, just roughly based off of that, but maybe Bang could also take him. Difficult to say right now. Crusader Deus Vult asks, what disaster level would you give Darth Vader from the comics? Oh, good question. I do love Darth Vader in the comics. I love reading them on the streams whenever you guys give me those suggestions. I haven't seen all of his feats. I have seen some of his significant ones, and he's at least dragon, maybe above dragon. I don't think he's god level. I think that's a little too generous for him. He does have some really awesome feats, but I would give him at the most above dragon at this point. Second question, who would win between Suiryu and the vampire dude? I guess you're talking about pure blood. I would say Suiryu. I mean, it would be competitive, but Suiryu seems a little too fast and a little too powerful to be taken down by somebody like pure blood, like cleanly. Delamante asks, excited to hear you'll be making Demon Slayer content eventually. My question is, what you've seen so far in the Demon Slayer anime and manga, what has been your favorite part and why? So I think I'm at episode 16 within Demon Slayer, when they're in the woods or the forest, and they've just found out that one of those, you know, white-haired family members is a part of the 12. But my favorite part so far is Muzan's introduction. I thought it was a great introduction for the main villain. I just like how, like, it was like a big twist, how he's just like, spoilers for Demon Slayer, how he's living among the humans and trying to blend in with them, and how like when he's found out about Tanjiro, he just, you know, quickly like swipes that dude's neck and causes a commotion. I'm really looking forward to reviewing Demon Slayer once I finish season 1, and then I'm looking forward to finishing it in the manga. And then hopefully we can get a release of the movie online, because I want to see the movie too. Dino W asks, who in your opinion are the top 5 hardest grinders in anime manga? Ooh, so this is subjective and everybody's gonna have different answers for this, but I'd say number 1, Saitama. I can't really see anyone beating out his grind to removing his limiter. It's insane what he did, obviously. The number 2, Goku. We can't deny that Goku is just a grind machine. I mean, he wasn't really gifted his power, even though a lot of it was Deus Ex and whatnot. He still did train and grind a lot to become as strong as he is. And then number 3, I would say All Might. Most of it happens, if not all of it happens, off panel. All Might grinded super hard to become as strong as he is, and also to make All for One, or One for All, as strong as it is. We can't, you know, discount that. And then Garo, I would say, is a solid number 4. And then number 5, I guess, could be Vegeta, possibly. I'm sure there's other great candidates, but those are the 5 that come to my mind, you know, immediately. And then your second question, who would win between current Izuku and Deep Sea King? The Izuku that fought Shigaraki, like in the past 10 chapters, I think he could defeat Deep Sea King. I mean, it would take a toll on Izuku, but man, those 100% shots and the versatility of his quirk set, I'm thinking that he could probably take Deep Sea King. Those 100% punches are crazy. Gardenshed asks, since it's Halloween, I thought I'd ask, what kind of Halloween costumes do you think some of the One Punch Man characters would wear, like Saitama, Genos, King, Garo, Puri Prisoner? Well, we don't, or at least I don't even have to speculate because we see what they would wear, I guess, canonically, possibly, because last year and the year previously, we got like these Halloween spreads from Murata, and it showed us the characters in their Halloween costumes. Like, I'm pretty sure Saitama for sure would just have a jack-o'-lantern on his head because he is pictured as this in both instances. As where like Genos is a demon thing and then he's Frankenstein, King is Frankenstein, Garo is a wolf man and then he's also kind of like a devil dude, and Puri is an angel, which is fitting. Joe D asks, who do you think the overall strongest female character in anime and manga is? I assume it's got to be Vados, right? From Dragon Ball Super, Whis' sister. I mean, angels in Dragon Ball Super are pretty much like cosmic beings in Marvel. Not a lot of manga characters reach that level of power, at least not to my knowledge. So I guess it's got to be her. Maybe there's other characters that I'm unaware of. I don't know all of battle manga, of course, but it's got to be Vados probably. And then your second question, who do you think is doing the best job as an anime voice actor right now? Who's your favorite? In Japanese, I'm really enjoying like Garo and Bakugo's voice actors. They do a lot of voice work and they always knock it out of the park. But as for like English, I love the dub. It's no secret if you follow the channel. I'm a big supporter of the dub and I know that it's polarizing. I really like Chris Sabat. I think he's awesome. He always does a great job. Jordan Sapala asks, what do you want the last 10 minutes of One Punch Man to look like if it was up to you how the story ends? I would just like it if Saitama was just at peace and he didn't have to chase the dragon of, you know, power or a challenge or significance or meaning or anything like that anymore. And he's, you know, at peace with what he is and the goals that he's accomplished and whatnot, and he can just chill. I mean, I'm not saying retire or anything, but he's no longer kind of like, I guess, depressed the way that he is depicted at times. And then as for good anime recommendations, Jujutsu Kaisen is awesome. It's knocking it out of the park right now. Watching Demon Slayer, and I'm loving it. Also, God of High School, I just checked that out. That's amazing. Mob Psycho, Attack on Titan. Joshua H. asks, have you started reading the God of High School webtoon again after watching the anime? I haven't started it yet, but I do have it on the list. There's just a few things that I have to take care of before that point, especially since, you know, we're coming in towards the end of the year now. I need to get prepared for December, which is going to be a really important month for my channel and just pretty much all other content creators in general. But God of High School, I will get around to doing that for sure. Kappa Megistus asks, what is your favorite Baki fight? So I'm a Baki white belt. I haven't seen many of the fights, but I did get to see Baki versus Muhammad Ali Jr. I thought that was awesome. And I saw more or less all of Yujiro Hanma's fights, you know, because we were doing his disaster level so many times on Twitch streams, and they were all fun too. But I really did like Baki versus Muhammad Ali Jr. And your second question, I just got into MMA, is Systema practical? I would say no. Maybe there are some Systema practitioners who can use that practically in like a street-like environment, like when you're forced to defend yourself or something like that. But from what I've seen online, a lot of it seems staged. It kind of reminds me of like what Steven Seagal does. A lot of it is like just used to like sell programs and just to make money off of gullible people, I suppose. No, I'm not completely putting it down. Like I said, I'm sure there are some people who are legitimate for what I've seen on YouTube. It doesn't look practical, and especially for MMA, like guys like that would just get destroyed in seconds in MMA if they tried to do things like that against, you know, a professional fighter. L asks, these last few webcomic chapters have expanded an already pretty large world even further, so I'm conflicted. I like the world expansion, but there's much to develop on what we already have. Thoughts? I'm I'm fine with it. The more the merrier. I'm a big fan of when mangas expand themselves. I just don't like when they stretch things out unnecessarily, like the way that One Piece does. I love that One Piece has so much lore, so much world building, and so much information to it, but I don't like the fact that like Oda just bloats it unnecessarily. And I think that's where One reaches that like nice medium of like a lot of world building and lore, but he doesn't really bloat it out, even though it's kind of coming to that right now currently in the manga, but hopefully it doesn't get too much more. But I'm fine with it. I think he'll come to this important stuff when he needs to, but I think he just has so many ideas and so many things that he wants to flesh out before he gets to like Watchdog Man and the Mad Cyborg and all that stuff. Legandaryus asks, what disaster level would you give Gurren and Logan in their combined and separated forms? So I did see this series, but when I was really young, I looked up some stuff on YouTube, and I didn't try to get into like the, you know, when they become so powerful that it's just comical. More so looking at when they're more grounded, you know, like when Kamina is actually still alive, spoilers. They're like dragons, probably, maybe even high dragons. I'm sure they reach above dragon pretty soon, but they're solid dragons for the most part, I would say. Both separated and combined. Maybe separated, they're like high demons, possibly. I need to look into it further, but I wouldn't say they're, you know, it's out of the realm of them being dragons for sure. Marshall asks, what is your take of DK versus Phoenix Man post and pre-retcon? I assume you mean Child Emperor versus Phoenix Man. I like both. It would have been nice to have the pre-retcon, but I think that Murata still has plans, and they still plan to bring that back, I think. Like, I don't think Brilliant Eagle, Phoenix Man, or Diamond Eagle, whatever it's called, is gone. I think that's going to come back later. It was cool to see that Dragon Ball Z-esque fight go down and all this awesomeness to it, but also the retcon serves its purpose as well because it sets up more lore for the overall story and it tones down things a little bit. They don't need to be that high, I would say, at that specific point in the story. So I like both. It's unfortunate that we can't have both, but I think we eventually will, especially considering that Phoenix Man is still alive. And then your second question, does base Psychos have the same psychic output as full power Giro Giro? So when you say full power Giro Giro, I think when you mean like when the eyes are revealed, like the implanted eyes, maybe not, because also it's like Giro Giro's being remote controlled. We see like the link of eyeballs coming down to her, so maybe that's possible that there's like a degrade of power, maybe, you know, coming down to be able to control it from a distance, but also it's like, how much stronger do the eyeballs make Giro Giro? Because like still couldn't do anything to Tatsumaki, and even Garo, you know, the Garo that fought Orochi, was able to resist Giro Giro's, you know, Esper bind, even though it wasn't like the eyeball mode. But then also we didn't get to see Psycho's pre-elixir, so I would say that they're probably around the same level. Difficult to say. Mr.Awsome asks, do you think by any chance Tank Top Master will become a monster? It's possible that he's like a monster right now. I mean, even though he doesn't look like a monster, there's something going on with Tank Top Master, and the fact that the story keeps coming back to him in these interesting ways, either it's going to be revealed that he already is a monster because he's so obsessed with the tank top, and that's like the reason for his super strength, because it's also kind of pointed out in 134 part 3, when Sneck's like, that strength ain't natural. He's like, it's tank top magic, you know? So it's like, what exactly goes into that? Or he just becomes a monster, like you said, from all these negative emotions and all these L's that he's been taking. But if he does become a monster, I think he won't be evil. He'll probably be around the realm of my mask somewhat. And then for your second question, do you think that it's possible that neither Drive Knight nor Metal Knight are evil? Yeah, as you stated, you know that I think Drive Knight is the traitor. But I think that would actually be kind of cool and a super interesting twist if it turns out that neither of them are evil. I would actually be really down with that. And that it's just the organization was just trying to pit them against each other, and the readers as well. I mean, I do think for sure it's Drive Knight, but I would be on board with the twist that neither of them are. Natedawg asks, I can't remember, do we ever get an age on Boros? If not, how old do you think he is? No, we don't get an age on Boros. The only real timeline that we get with him is we know that it took him 20 years to get to Earth. So he's at least 20 years old. I'm assuming that considering that he's just casually taking a trip that's 20 years long just to go scratch an itch, I assume that he's very old, especially since he has the name Dominator of the Universe. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like thousands of years old at this point. Snowpeas asks, Baba Booey. Hey, I agree, Snowpeas. Baba Booey. And for your second question, I'm probably not going to make any more Promised Neverland content. I kind of got disinterested with the series. Not that it's bad or anything. I just wanted to focus on other series, and I still currently am. But I appreciate you checking out the little content that I did make for it. And then also for the Yoma Hashimoto stand, you're right. That is perfect. I looked into that. I didn't even know that OVA was a thing. But yeah, that's more or less what I would want, because that stand basically just has one for all, you know, without the inherent quirk hacks to it. Wolffire54 asks, what type of fight style do you think Saitama used on a monster when he was still in hero training? He didn't really use anything. We do get to see instances of it in like the previous chapters in the bonus chapters when he's training, and also in the Road to Hero OVA. He kind of just fights, you know, just standard freestyle, you know, like crosses and whatnot. I mean, I guess you could say that the fundamentals of it are boxing, but Saitama, even currently, has no rhyme or reason to what he does. He just throws punches and whatever he deems to be cool, I suppose. And for your second question, when Blast is revealed, do you think that we'll get some insight into the backstory about him, like how he got his power and where he came up with the idea of heroism? I do think that we're going to get a backstory for sure, but I'm unsure if we'll get an explanation as to what his power is, because I think that ultimately leads to how all humans, or supposedly humans, have these supernatural powers within the One Punch Man world. It seems like they all originate from the same place, which came out of the wars, supposedly. So I would be super interested to find out why Blast does have these supposed energy manipulation things, if he does have what Blue has, which makes sense that he would. Zapphod B asks, which outfits do you like better for Fubuki and Tatsumaki, the regular clothes or their Halloween costumes from Chapter 99? I like the regular clothes better. Their Halloween costumes are fine, but definitely more of a fan of their regular, like, modest hero clothings, I guess. I'm kind of like a minimalist, I guess, so less is more to me usually. And then your second question, who would you say are the 3 scariest looking monsters in One Punch Man? Number 1, definitely Face Ripper. He's terrifying. Number 2, Royal Ripper. And then number 3 is, it could be the transformed state of Eyesight, or it could be like Grizzly Neon. They're pretty scary, and the way that Murata drew them was excellent. So that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Once again, I want to thank all 128 of my incredible patrons. And if you would like to be in next week's Q&A, just check out the $5 tier. That will give you access to this video. Please also check out my Twitch for streams on there. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Trying to reach 100K by the end of the year. Maybe we'll make it, maybe we won't. Have a happy Halloween, everyone. I'll see you in the next one.